With only a month to go before facing Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather isn't behaving like a retired star enjoying the spotlight. He's carrying himself like someone focused on preserving his place in history.
Sit back. Come on, you listen to me. He said, how you like a I'm an old man. I'm an old man. So record the old man. Okay. Whoa. He turned it up now.
That perfect 50-0 record is more than statistics, it represents an identity that can't simply be restarted. Many notice the cars, the watches, and the luxury lifestyle, and think the drive is gone. But underestimating Floyd based on that perception is a serious miscalculation.
Right to him. Slip, bro. Right, flip. Stop. Slip, bro. Slip is that rope. Hatch it. Rope.
Beyond the flashy image, there's a training routine that borders on obsessive, especially during his heavy bag sessions. There are no timed rounds and no bell to break the rhythm, just 20 to 40 uninterrupted minutes of disciplined impact. He moves smoothly, pauses to reset, then suddenly unleashes crisp combinations, almost as if he's reasserting control over the bag. He may stop briefly to sip some water, but it's never a true rest. The tempo stays steady, developing the kind of endurance many fighters gradually lose. Top-tier conditioning. That's the detail people often miss. Floyd has never shown signs of fading, not in the late rounds, not when pressure increases, and not when bouts turn chaotic. His footwork remains active, his reactions stay quick, and his punches continue to crack as if the fight has just begun, even while others start to slow down. That level of stamina isn't random. It's built through workouts like these, where exhaustion becomes the rival and he won't give in. So while everyone else argues about spectacle, finances, and storylines, Floyd remains in the gym, quietly refining the very element that has defined his entire career: control.
Well, if you don't know, I want to tell everybody this. The last time I made 25 million, I made more, but last time I made 25 million was 10 years ago.
Wow.
I'm not bragging and boasting, I'm just telling the truth. I'm appreciative and thankful. $25 million is still great money.
Sure.
But
it's not Mayweather money.
Well, you know, for the last, I don't know how many years, my guaranteed lowest is be like 32, a little bit over 32. That's my lowest. But you'll also know that in the Canelo fight, you know, I made over 100 million in that fight. And then in a pack, just in 2 fights.
Oh my God.
Pacquiao and Canelo, those 2 fights, somewhere upwards of 400 million. I mean, probably $400 million or better. and just me and sponsorship money. Leading up to the Pacquiao fight, that week I made somewhere 25 to 30 million.
Wow, that's crazy.
So these are my numbers. And, you know, they can say Floyd lying all they want to. If I was so desperate and hurting for money, I'll come back.
You still be fine.
Right as Floyd seems to be using the heavy bag as a prolonged conditioning test, Mike Tyson enters the discussion with a completely different mindset, one centered on results, unpredictability, and whatever unfolds when two fighters share the ring. The interviewer throws out the familiar question, asking how someone beats the shoulder roll. Tyson brushes it aside with a calm anything can happen, which appears simple, but reflects the mentality of pressure fighters. There's no fixed plan, no calculations, only timing, presence, and the instant when structure falls apart. The mood shifts even more when Tyson steers the conversation away from the matchup and begins focusing on his invitational, treating it like the priority.
You look in phenomenal shape, you look shredded. You're supposed to fight Floyd next month, correct?
Yeah, next month from now, we ready, whatever.
How do you beat the shoulder roll? He's 50-0.
Huh?
How do you crack the shoulder roll?
Happens, you never know. Hey, listen, I think this established my importance in the boxing world more so than the amateur, than the professional fighting, because this is the future. You know, Mike Tyson got a great name and that's over. That's gone.
He openly states that his chapter as a legendary figure is already complete, over and done. That stands out, because most fighters hold on to that label as if they can't breathe without it, while Tyson treats it like old news. That kind of perspective shows a different level of self-awareness. He then shifts to discipline, mentioning that he doesn't observe the same level of grind in modern gyms. It carries extra weight coming from someone known for training as if everything depended on it each day. Then he highlights fear, not hype or aggression, explaining that if you don't feel nervous, you may not be suited for this. That's something casual viewers often miss. The top fighters aren't without fear, they stay composed despite it. Now you have Floyd developing machine-like stamina in the gym, while Tyson speaks with the mindset of someone comfortable with unpredictability. That contrast alone is what makes the situation so compelling.
But
Hey, guys, one last question, okay?
What part fear plays in the career of a fighter?
Well, if you're not crazy and you're doing this, you're insane, okay? So I worry about guys that are not nervous before fighting because they'll never be a great fighter. Because when you're scared, you avoid pain, you avoid getting hit. And if you're one of those guys that have no fear, you're gonna constantly get hit. And you're not gonna end the game finish. By the time you finish fighting, you'll be talking another language. And that's what happens to those tough guys. End of their career, they're speaking another language.
Just as Tyson leaves the discussion centered on fear, discipline, and unpredictability meeting inside the ring, Oscar de la Hoya enters with a tone that sounds part amused, part puzzled, yet fully aware of how boxing operates behind the scenes. He openly labels a Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch as entertainment, which feels like the simplest way to describe what many are hinting at, not disrespect, not hype, just entertainment. Then he adds a sharper point, explaining that if it's conducted as a genuine bout under proper rules, it becomes a meaningful night for boxing. That's small if carries significant weight. When he leans toward Floyd, he doesn't use drama or emotion. Instead, he focuses on consistency, noting that Floyd looks after himself, stays in the gym, and remains sharp.
Who would you back? Who do you think would win it? If it's a real fight, because that's what Pacquiao wants, it seems.
Yeah, I think Mayweather will. I think Mayweather will take it. Yeah, one thing about Mayweather you have to understand is he's always taking care of himself. Like, his body, physically, mentally, he's always been very sharp and always staying in the gym and doing something physically, right? That's the big advantage he has. I mean, he's an athlete. He's a world-class athlete. Watching Pacquiao's last fight, you kind of feel bad.
And just like that, Floyd's intense training suddenly makes complete sense. It's not random, it's a clear pattern. Then Oscar shifts focus to Pacquiao, blending admiration with reality. He admits this isn't the same Pacquiao he faced before, delivering a subtle but undeniable reality check. But Oscar keeps going, effortlessly dropping Deontay Wilder into the mix as an underachiever. That moment feels like a separate conversation colliding with the current one. He acknowledges Wilder's sheer power, almost comic book level, yet critiques his activity, quickly, pointing out, fighters today compete too infrequently, and suddenly the discussion isn't about legends anymore, it's about an entire generation managing careers like a long marathon with frequent breaks. That's why Oscar is so compelling in interviews. He never sticks to one path, starting with nostalgia, moving into business, making predictions, and analyzing modern boxing all at once as a promoter, a fighter, and a fan simultaneously.
I feel bad for him, and even though he did win and he did, I guess, pull off a surprise in his last fight with a draw against the world champion, but still you tend to kind of like feel bad because it's not the same Pacquiao. It's definitely not the same Pacquiao I faced. That's for sure. The one that put me on my stool in the 9th round. But I still think that Mayweather will pull this one off. I mean, if it does happen.
And just as Oscar leaves us juggling nostalgia, realism, and a hint of quiet skepticism, Dan Rafael enters with the air of someone who's already seen the entire playbook and is just waiting for the rest to catch up. He bluntly states, "This rematch isn't shocking," and that straightforward delivery immediately cuts through all the manufactured surprise. While fans act like this came out of nowhere, Dan's essentially saying, "We've been here before, you just weren't paying attention." Then he takes it in a different direction, and this is where it gets intriguing. He frames it not as a debate over competition, but as a product. He explains, "This isn't aimed at us, the hardcore boxing fans arguing scorecards at 3 a.m. It's for casual viewers scrolling Netflix after dinner." That perspective flips the entire conversation, shifting it from competitiveness to recognizability, and make no mistake, Mayweather and Pacquiao still punch with the impact of global icons.
The regular person that's scrolling through Netflix to see what's on a weekend night, they're going to look and say, "Oh, Mayweather, Pacquiao, I know those guys. They're as famous as any boxers in the world. And if it doesn't cost me any extra money and I'm just paying my normal subscription, I'll check it out." And it's going to do big numbers. That's why Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson did the numbers it did. And that's why, we saw them be interested in a fight like Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua and the other events that they have done. Tyson Fury's come back as they try to, build up more in the UK, and this is going to be the same situation.
Dan even points out that the first fight shattered every imaginable record. But now, years later, it's less about record-breaking and more about sparking curiosity. He then brings in that MMA comparison with Rousey and Carano, which perfectly illustrates the psychology at play. Fans don't necessarily need peak performance, they want familiar names and a reason to click. The interesting contradiction Dan highlights, calmly and without theatrics, is that the very hardcore fans rolling their eyes, they'll still tune in. He puts it plainly, boxing fans are addicted. We complain, debate, critique, and then we show up regardless. So while some are measuring this like it's 2015 all over again, Dan approaches it as a 2026 business strategy. That's the reality most people don't openly acknowledge.
Be the same situation. They put out a lot of money to do the fight, but not as much as what obviously they generated in 2015. And it'll be a big event, but how much of a fight it will be, who the heck knows? But I mean, to answer the question, I'm not like looking forward to it, but it's one of those things that, you got to write about, you got to cover, and you got to, be involved in, because it's still two of the greatest, most famous fighters of all time.
Step back and the full picture starts to take shape. This isn't just one fight buildup, it's three worlds colliding at once. Floyd moves in the gym like a relentless machine, guarding that perfect 50-0 record as if it's a living artifact that still fights back. Tyson brings in raw, unpredictable energy, not overthinking a second, just trusting chaos to eventually break down structure. Oscar quietly reminds everyone that underneath it all, this remains a business wrapped in nostalgia, where habits and discipline outweigh hype and emotion. Then Dan Rafael lifts the curtain completely, pointing out, this isn't aimed at hardcore fans anymore. It's a global product designed to spark curiosity, not showcase perfection. That's the twist. This isn't about the best fight possible. It's about the most watched moment. And somehow, all of it exists simultaneously. Legacy, money, discipline, chaos, and entertainment tangled together in one event that people will debate all week and still tune in the moment it starts. That's modern boxing, chaotic, unpredictable, a bit absurd, but utterly impossible to ignore.
It's the same thing for millions of people who are going to tune in to watch Pacquiao Mayweather. Again, it is not being put on Netflix for you or me or the folks that watch Boxing Social or all the diehards. It's for casual me and my reaction to the announcement of that MMA fight they're doing. And that was my epiphany.
Share your thoughts down below. Do you think this matchup leans toward Floyd's precision and control, or Tyson's raw chaos? And is this truly a fight, or just the year's biggest spectacle? Don't forget to hit like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more updates.